Well, welcome back to another episode of Fox Sports Live NRL. I'm Eloise Sawyer and Josh Morris is alongside me as always for a round 17 review. Josh, there's so many talking points to come out of the round that was. I think one of the biggest one, of course, was the Broncos being upset by the Titans. I don't think anyone saw this coming, and the Origin hangover clearly showed for the Broncos.
Yeah, it certainly did, and I guess the late withdrawal of Tino Fa'asua Maliawi may have crept into their minds as well, thinking that this might have been an easier game than what they predicted. But we've also seen the coach get sacked during the week, a caretaker coach come in, and there's a weird stat that normally when the caretaker coach comes in, they're successful straight away. So that played into it a little bit as well. I thought they didn't play as hard as they normally do, and they got found out, and the Titans were too good yesterday. So that was the biggest upset of the round for sure.
We will get to the Titans and the sacking of Justin Holbrook in a minute, but what happens to the Broncos now in terms of the next game heading into round 18? They come up against the Dolphins, who are desperate to get their season back on track. What do you make of the Broncos? Are you still confident of them, being up there and around back into the season?
Yeah, look, this is a wake-up call, and they needed to have it now rather than in the finals. I think they'll bounce back, and I think they'll bounce back very strongly. I think the Dolphins, we spoke about them to see they were travelling well, but the back end of the season was always going to be the test for them with injuries and depth. And we saw in the last couple of weeks that they've been beaten by some big scorelines. So, yeah, it's probably a tough week to come up against a Broncos side that has had their pants pulled down last week. They'll be ready to go this week, no doubt. And then their players want to have a good game before they head back into Origin.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's focus on the Titans now. We touched on Justin Holbrook sacking. That came as a shock to so many people in the rugby league world. It was, the biggest secret that no one had any whispers of. And then they caused the biggest upset was then again coming out and putting up a win. Does the sacking of Holbrook sort of galvanize? Is that what the stat shows? Does it galvanize the squad? Does it show that they want to prove to people that they can, be a top 8 team?
Yeah, well, it does a few things. It obviously they have a new coach incoming next year. Some of them may be off contract, so it's about they've got a number of weeks now to impress the incoming coach, and they have to play well to do that. They have to play some good football if they want to be rewarded with a contract. So I think we saw that on the weekend, and like I said, they did it without their best player in Tino as well. So if they can continue to put up performances like that, there's no reason why they can't make the 8.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's touch on another team that is looking like they're losing touch with the top 8, and that, of course, is the Roosters. They went down on the weekend. What do you make of where the Roosters are at the moment, and can they still be there at the back end of the season, or are you losing hope each and every week?
Yeah, I'm probably losing hope as each week passes. They got a gutsy win against Newcastle in Newcastle, but this was always going to be a test for them. And then before the game, they had late withdrawals of Nat Butcher and Satili Tupanua, so they were going to be up against it for sure. They fought valiantly, but the Raiders, they scored a couple of tries off kicks as well, so they were pretty lucky in itself to get the win. But injuries, suspensions have really cruelled the Roosters this year, and they just have lacked that cohesion throughout the year. And the teams that generally use the least amount of players are the ones that are more successful because they have that cohesion. So I think that's probably where the Roosters are at. Another couple of losses, and you can certainly kiss their season goodbye.
What does this bye do for the Roosters at this point of the season? They come up against the Storm, they face Manly, and then the Storm after the bye. But what does this week off do for Trent Robinson's men in terms of realigning them and going back to the drawing board and sort of a clean slate?
Yeah, I think it'll be good for them. They need to freshen up. They need to get away from football, and then when they come back in, they need to focus and really make a charge in this last few weeks remaining before finals comes in. So I think they'll use the break wisely, but I think Trent will probably be working on a few things while they're away, and then when they come back, he'll have a plan to attack the back end of this season.
Did you ever think at the beginning of the season that at this point Roosters would be $3.60 to make the finals?
No, I certainly didn't. I tipped them to win the competition this year, and that's solely off their squad on paper. And we've seen that this year that it doesn't matter who's on in their squad and who's on paper, they've got to still go out and deliver. And they've fallen short plenty of times this year, and their attack obviously has been stuttering throughout the season. I think they're hopeful of getting Sam Walker back in the next couple of weeks, but I really enjoyed watching Sandon Smith play the last couple of weeks. He's a young fella from the Central Coast, and he got his debut, and he's making the most of it at the moment. But as I said, just the injuries and suspensions, they have really cruelled the Roosters season, and they haven't been playing good enough, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's talk about another young half that stepped up at the Penrith Panthers. Cogger has come into place of Nathan Cleary, and he's done an outstanding job. They were great on the weekend. Another big win with a lot of Origin players out, and they're outright favourites at $3.10 to take out the premiership. No surprises there.
No surprises there. And I mean, Jack Cogger, he's a bit of a journeyman. He started his career at Newcastle and then went over to England to ply his trade there and came back. And he's been doing a wonderful job. I think it shows a lot about Penrith and their depth and their systems that they have in place, that they can play without six of their rep stars and still get the job done. It kind of says a great thing about that club, but it also says a little bit about Newcastle as well. If you're going to beat Penrith at any stage, you do it when they have their Origin stars out, and they still weren't good enough to do it. So a little bit of pressure, and the blowtorch gets put on Adam O'Brien there, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lastly, let's talk about the Cowboys because they were impressive on the weekend. That was a huge upset over the Rabbitohs. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. And they're the big movers in the market now at $26 to take out the premiership for 2023.
Yeah, they put in an inspired performance for sure, and they had a number of players backing up from Origin as well. South, their last month of football hasn't been the best. Obviously, they're missing Latrell, and they had Cody out as well, but Cody was there on the weekend. But the Cowboys just came to Sydney with a goal and a plan, and they hadn't had the best record against the Rabbitohs, and they wanted to set that straight, and they played a level above what South did on the weekend, and I think that's a bit of a turning point in their season the last couple of weeks. The Golden Point win against Penrith, and then to back it up with a win over South. The Cowboys, I think they're starting to hit their straps now and could be dangerous the back end of the season.
Yeah, certainly a dark horse at the back end of this season. Before we let you go, Josh, what are you liking most as we head into round 18 of where the NRL Premiership is at the moment? I mean, from around 6 to about teams sitting in 10th, it's all very tight there. There's some teams that are all on 20 points. What do you like about as we head into this back end of the season? What can you expect?
Well, I just love the closeness of the comp. I can't remember it being this close for a long time, but what I do like is these upsets. I mean, it's very hard to pick a perfect round these days because the ones that you think are certain to win don't seem to be getting the job done. And it just goes to show that any team can win on the day if they have the right mindset. So that's what I'm loving about the comp. And I can't wait till the Origin season's over and all the buys are out of the way. And then we can really see who the movers and groovers are in this competition.
Love it. Movers and groovers. Josh Morris, thanks so much for your time here on Fox Sports Lab NRL. We'll chat next week.
Thanks, Eloise.
What's gambling really costing you?